Nvidia is trending down 0.93%. This is Tuesday, the 11th of November, 2025. People are getting concerned because SoftBank has sold its entire stake in the company, worth of around $5 billion or so, thereabouts. But there's nothing to be concerned about. Let's just quickly have a look at its 4-hour chart. Okay, that's that rejection. But in any case, the extrapolation we have here is saying that from midday today, or rather just right after midday today, the 11th of November, they may pick up a bounce and continue the uptrend that it has been on. It was on. Yeah, it was on. It wasn't a down. It wasn't an uptrend that began on Friday the 7th. So the extrapolation is saying that it's going to shrug off this the jitters that is behind this weakness. Yeah, we have here upper projection of 200.53, 213.49, 226.69, 234.85. Okay, so let's hear more about what's going on.
SoftBank sold its entire stake in Nvidia, about $5.8 billion worth, a surprise move the company says is intended to free cash for new AI investments. The sale creates short term market chatter and minor selling pressure, but it doesn't, by itself, change Nvidia's fundamentals. Demand for its data center GPUs and strategic partnerships remain the main drivers of the company's trajectory. 1. What happened? The facts. SoftBank sold its Nvidia holding, roughly $5.8 billion worth of shares, reportedly to raise cash for fresh AI investments and strategic deals. The company framed a move as repositioning for a larger AI push. SoftBank has in recent quarters been actively rebalancing and increasing AI exposure via other vehicles, Vision Fund, stakes in OpenAI-related holdings, ARM, TSMC earlier. So the sale looks like portfolio reshaping rather than a new bet against Nvidia. 2. Immediate market impact, price, and liquidity. Short-term price pressure. Any large sale can create temporary selling pressure. $5.8 billion is material in absolute dollars, but small versus Nvidia's multi trillion dollar market cap, so the mechanical impact on long term share price is limited. The market usually digests such block sales quickly, unless accompanied by broader negative news. Signaling effect. The bigger story is signaling. A large, well known investor trimming or exiting a position creates headlines and can trigger short term sentiment shifts, profit taking rather than new fundamental concerns. Expect volatility and increased headline driven trading in the immediate aftermath. 3. Strategic and business implications for NVIDIA. Why this is not necessarily a negative for NVIDIA long term. SoftBank's stated reason is redeployment into AI, not a direct indictment of NVIDIA's fundamentals. Masayoshi Son has been actively reallocating capital towards other AI bets, OpenAI exposure, robotics, ARM, and TSMC earlier. So the sale looks like portfolio reshaping rather than a new bet against NVIDIA. Core demand drivers remain intact. Hyperscalers, cloud providers, generative AI developers, and OEMs still need NVIDIA silicon, and the company continues to sign major deals and expand strategic ties across AI ecosystems. Recent large strategic investments and partnerships in AI, for example, NVIDIA OpenAI tie ups announced recently, reinforce those demand trends. Potentially material but conditional risks. Perception versus reality. If the market interprets the sale as insider light loss of conviction, even wrongly, it can feed narratives of peak demand or a valuation topping process. That can amplify any subsequent negative news, disappointing guidance, China limits, or chip shortages easing. Regulatory or geopolitical angle. SoftBank selling doesn't change export controls, China tensions, or supply constraints, but it raises questions about who will buy large blocks and how easy it is to scale positions in illiquid times. 4. Impact on NVIDIA's innovation trajectory and partnerships. R&D and long-term innovation unaffected. NVIDIA's innovation engine, software plus GPUs and custom systems, is primarily funded by its own cash flow and access to capital markets. A third party investor exiting doesn't remove NVIDIA's resources or partnerships. The company's strategic moves and R&D pipelines, GPU roadmaps, Blackwell architecture, data center platforms continue regardless of SoftBank's portfolio decisions. Partnership signal versus operational reality. SoftBank's pivot to other AI investments may increase capital flowing into the AI ecosystem, startups, robotics, software that will still use NVIDIA hardware. So some of SoftBank's redeployed capital could indirectly benefit NVIDIA's ecosystem. Financial Times. 5. How the community is reacting. Sentiment snapshot. Bullish thread. Many remain focused on NVIDIA's earnings, product leadership, and the broader AI capex cycle. Bulls point out that A. NVIDIA remains the dominant supplier of high end AI GPUs. D. Long term cloud and enterprise demand is shifting towards accelerators. And C. Macro or political noise hasn't stopped underlying adoption. Bearish thread or bubble concern. Sizable shorts and critics, notably Michael Burry's recently disclosed put positions, have amplified bubble fears. People interpret large contrarian bets as warnings, and that raises anxiety about where the market top is. Burry's moves add psychological weight to the AI bubble narrative. Net effect. Expect bifurcated social chatter, price target reiterations and technical bulls versus valuation skeptics leaning on macro or technical factors and big name shorts. 6. Michael Burry's short and how it ties in. What Burry did. Recent filings and social media activity reveal Scion, Michael Burry, has taken bearish derivative positions against NVIDIA and other AI leaders, and has publicly warned about an AI froth. This is largely a sentiment and risk management signal, not necessarily a fundamental report on NVIDIA's product or revenue pipeline. Why it matters. Burry's reputation elevates media attention and can spur other traders to hedge or reduce risk. But one single hedge fund's puts are not a proxy for company fundamentals. They are a macro positioning view that may be right, timing is key, or wrong in the near term. The market often overreacts to celebrity trades. 7. Longer term scenarios. 3 plausible paths. Nothing fundamental changed. Base case. SoftBank redeploys proceeds into AI. NVIDIA continues to benefit from hyperscaler demand, new partnerships, and product cycles. Share price may dip short term on headlines, but recovers as earnings and guidance validate the story. Evidence supporting this. The sale was for redeployment, and NVIDIA still signing major strategic deals. Sentiment shock, volatility. The sale feeds headlines and coupled with large short bets, Burry, and high valuations amplifies volatility. If Nvidia's next guidance or macro indicators disappoint, the stock could sharply correct. This is the scenario where a narrative shift matters more than fundamentals. Catalyst for re-rating. Bull case. SoftBank's redeployed capital accelerates adjacent AI infrastructure and applications that tightly integrate NVIDIA's chips, OpenAI, robotics, industrial AI. This broadens demand and eventually re-rates NVIDIA's TAM higher over time. 8. Practical, what to watch, next 30 to 90 days. Earnings and guidance. Any change in data center guidance, China commentary, or ASP trends will matter more than the SoftBank story. Order and supply signals. Reports from TSMC, hyperscalers, and channel checks on order size and shipment timing. Is demand steady, accelerating, or softening? Regulatory or geopolitical developments. New export restrictions or China tensions that could materially affect NVIDIA's addressable market. Market positioning moves. Whether other large holders step in to buy signals conviction, or whether forced selling emerges from entities covering margin calls. Derivative flows and put activity. Large put blocks, like Burry's, can skew near-term volatility and price action. Watch 13F and 13D filings and options open interest. Bottom line, balanced take. SoftBank's divestment is important news, but not a verdict on NVIDIA's technology or long-term prospects. It's better viewed as a portfolio reallocation by SoftBank to fund other AI bets, rather than the sign that Nvidia has lost its moat. The bigger drivers remain Nvidia's sales, product roadmap, hyperscaler demand, and geopolitical or regulatory environment. Those fundamentals will determine whether the SoftBank story becomes a footnote or a headline that catalyzes a re rating. Investor action. If you're trading the news, expect near term volatility and keep an eye on guidance and order flow. If you're investing for the long term, weigh NVIDIA's technical leadership and ecosystem advantage against valuation and macro or regulatory risks.